We do the NFL around here, folks. Don't think that we don't. I'm shocked that this is going to be the first team that we do. Like, I can't believe that this is the first email that included an NFL team. And, hey, man, I'm going to do it. I don't like this team very much. And we're going to talk about it. And we're going to unpack maybe why I don't like this team very much. But without further ado, let's get into it. From DG. Hi, Noah. I'm a super huge NFL fan, and my team since birth has been the Tennessee Titans. Over the last 3 or 4 years, we have been on the cusp of a championship, but have consistently fallen short. This past offseason, the hopes were high, but we have consistently fallen short again this season, and as a result have greatly underperformed. The most frustrating part of these past 4 years has been coaching and their lack of change. Play calling this year on both sides of the ball has been poor at best, with no signs of improvement. It's super frustrating when you are watching the game and can predict what your own offense is going to do, and I'm just some loser who watches sports all day. I don't know if you're a big football fan, but do you understand the frustration with coaches and not being able to help and just having to sit there and watch something you love not be realized to its full potential? I gotta tell you, dude, there's not a worse feeling. Thank you for the email. There's not a worse feeling in the world than watching, like, and it doesn't sound like football is your third or fourth favorite sport, but like when you're watching, like for me, it's like watching hockey. Like I like hockey a lot. When I was a kid, I was like a Red Wings sicko, but then they started to go through their rebuild. I started watching whatever, right? If I don't really know the nuances of this sport, and I'm just some guy, like you said, and even I can tell when like something doesn't seem right. Like if I can tell that's like when I'm watching the World Cup, and I watch some Premier League games like here and there, but when I watch the World Cup and I'm able to be like, that's offside, like that's offside, like all these different things. I guess that specific example is a little bit different, but you know what I mean? When you're able to start calling it out, then that's when your hope is really just like crushed. That's when you're like, yeah, okay, this team's not going to do anything. And you saying that, you know, the last 3 or 4 years, the Titans have had like some championship hopes. Like there were some real aspirations there. Objectively, you're right. Like objectively, the Titans have been in the mix. Tennessee is a team that was the AFC South. Like you have to talk about them. It's a sneaky winnable division. I think the Jags kind of have it. Like it's definitely their belt. But if I'm the Titans, I'm seeing this thing and I'm like, maybe. Me personally, I've never a day in my life taken the Tennessee Titans seriously. And ultimately what that comes down to is probably just Ryan Tannehill being the quarterback, because there's never been a day in my life where I've been like, that's a top 7 quarterback. And you know how hard it is to win a Super Bowl when you're not a top 7 quarterback? It doesn't happen that often. Look at the last like 20 years. Tom Brady's going to have 7 of them. He's going to have 7. There's going to be some Ben Roethlisberger in there. There's going to be some Drew Brees in there. Peyton Manning in there. Hell, there's going to be some Aaron Rodgers in there. People are going to be... Cam Newton won an MVP. Like, he was a top 7 quarterback that year, right? Who would it have been? Patrick Mahomes? Like, what are we talking about? Joe Flacco maybe was the only one that you would throw in there and was like... Because that Super Bowl was 10 years ago. I honestly don't remember. It was probably on the back of the defense that they won it, right? But honestly, if I look back at whatever year that was, I'm sure statistically there's an easy case to make for Joe Flacco being a top 7 quarterback that year. So Ryan Tannehill, for all intents and purposes, when he like yak merchants his way to 175 yards through the air on like 17 completions, 17 attempts, I'm going to be like, oh, wow, like, oh my God. And I don't disparage yak merchants. There's the check down patties of the world. Like I'm not a guy, like I think there's an art to that. I think there's a craft, man. And I think these Brock Purdy's, these Bo Nix, these JJ McCarthy's of the world, where it's like people are like, oh man, all they do is throw these like 5-yard crossing routes. And it's like, no, dude, they get the ball to their playmakers in space. That's what they do. They're point guards. That's what these quarterbacks are. It's a whole different archetype suited to how football is played in 2023. I'm sure on Monday I'm going to come back, by the way, and make that exact same point after watching the slate of football that we're going to get. So just be ready for that. I'm probably going to say that exact same thing again. I don't think that's a bad thing. But Ryan Tannehill has never struck me as a guy who like them even signing DeAndre Hopkins was like cute. Like that, you know, you talk about in the offseason, hopes were high. I'm sure some of that is because you ended up being the winner of the D-Hop sweepstakes, right? Titans fans are probably like, oh my God, like we have our missing piece, like we have our receiver, like, oh my God. The only reason that DeAndre Hopkins went to Tennessee was because no one called him back. There's the report that came out. He like was on the phone, like trying to get on the line with like front offices, like, hey man, like you guys need a pass catcher? Yeah, man, like, oh, whoa, like what's the going rate? D-Hop's like $30 million. Like, click, like what the fuck? That's all that it was. And Tennessee was like, we'll write the check, I guess. And then, we go back to the point about it being a winnable division. That's, I'd say, consistent with what Tennessee has done, like standing pat with Derrick Henry at the trade deadline, being like, no. And part of that could be like, no, because we think something could happen here, especially, make a change at quarterback. The other part of that is like, do they just want Derrick Henry to be like a Tennessee lifer? I actually don't know. That's an interesting question. I don't know if that's like in the plans. Titans fans, I'd imagine, want that. I'd imagine every team wants their best player to like be there forever, but I just don't know if there's like bad graces or anything like that. It's tough, man. Like, especially because you have a coach that everybody loves. Is he a top 3 dude in the NFL? Mike Vrabel, top 3 dude? It's in any order you want. It's Dan Campbell and Mike McDaniel, number 1 and number 2. However order you want, that's what it is, right? Mike Vrabel could be 3rd if you want. At the very least, he's top 5. A guy you want to root for and a guy that you'd want to be your coach. I think sneaky. I don't know who says no to this. So let me say it out loud first, and then maybe I'll realize how insane it sounds. I'll be like, if I'm the Patriots, am I like Mike Vrabel for Bill Belichick? Who says no to that? Patriots fans aren't saying no to that. I promise they're not. And the ones who are the ones who are like so far gone, applesauce brain diluted, like Bill Belichick, like they have a Bill Belichick body pillow. Like those type of Patriots fans, I'm not talking to them because I'm not going to get through to you. You want to talk about the Patriot way? Mike Vrabel right there. I think Tennessee probably has to say no to that, right? I think they got to say no to that. I also just can't. There are these rumors swirling around about Belichick going to like anywhere else. Anywhere. I could name like 3 different teams. Anywhere else. Like Washington. And I cannot imagine him being like literally anywhere else, much less Tennessee. Much less Tennessee.
Now have primary control.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Primary control.
beautiful,
Primary control.
beautiful,
Primary control.
beautiful.